The stock market has been soaring the past 2 days, and this market rally is starting to broaden out besides big tech and the Magnificent Seven. Now we're starting to see small and mid cap stocks take the baton. Small cap stocks and the Russell is at its highest level since January of 2022. The Russell did very well yesterday, and the Russell was up 3.5% today. That's the small cap stock index. This is a little bit due to the back to the reversion to the mean, because small cap stocks were hit so badly in 2022. 2023, they were kind of bottoming out. In 2024, we're starting to see a little bit of an increase now. FundStrat's Tom Lee thinks small caps could rally another 40% in 10 weeks, partially due to lower than expected June CPI that was released the other week. Which would be a catalyst for interest rate sensitive stocks like small cap stocks to continue their rally. We also had Fed Chair Jerome Powell say in a conference with David Rubenstein from the Economics Club, and David Rubenstein's a founder of Carlyle, Jerome Powell pretty much saying that the pretty much inflation and unemployment are almost on an equal playing field in terms of what the Federal Reserve is looking at. They're not only focusing on inflation anymore. The fact that the Federal Reserve is focusing on unemployment as well and the cooling labor market is something we have to see. And the Fed isn't necessarily waiting until inflation hits that 2% level, because if the Federal Reserve waits until inflation's at 2%, then unfortunately the Fed might be too late. So the Fed needs to act a little bit before that. And Jerome Powell also admitted that there's more confidence of inflation ultimately eventually getting that 2% level. Right now, the interest rate futures are pricing in a 100% chance of a rate cut in September. Obviously, that's pretty strong. The only way I think that won't happen is if inflation somehow accelerates when the July and August readings come out. But as of now, it looks like we're getting a September rate cut. Jerome Powell and the Fed usually doesn't deviate from what the interest rate futures markets show. And another reason why I think small cap stocks are doing well is I'm not saying this to be political. I only talk about politics and how it could pertain to the markets. But with the recent events, it looks like Donald Trump's odds of winning the presidency have increased recently, and as a result, investors are starting to price in an economic agenda for Donald Trump. Usually investors price that in a little bit ahead of time of the actual election. But according to Predicted, which is a betting market, one of the top betting markets, and I usually rely on that more than polls because that's where people put their money, it looks like Donald Trump has a 68% chance of winning as of now. Obviously, we have to see, but some of the investors, I'm speaking about this unbiased investors, like his deregulation, a little bit of extending the tax cuts, and pretty much a pro-growth priority agenda. Say what you want about him and his character, but that's what investors are looking at. And that's why the market partially at least, why the market has seemed to do well the past few days. And then retail sales also came out today better than expected, which will likely filter into GDP data for this was June retail sales, so likely filter into Q2 GDP data, likely reaccelerating Q2 GDP, showing that the economy has another leg up in terms of growth. So I kind of agree with Tom Lee. I think as small cap stocks could rally that 40% in 10 weeks. Certainly possible, especially if investors are pricing in interest rate cuts and some economic policies from Donald Trump. So, if that happens, obviously that doesn't mean, he'll win, but we'll see what happens. But either way, even if he doesn't win, there's a lot of catalysts naturally in the market in terms of inflation going down and economic growth still being very strong. And Bitcoin and Ethereum, we had Larry Fink go on CNBC yesterday talking to Cramer, pretty much saying that Bitcoin is a legitimate asset class. He was against it at first about 7 years ago before he really studied it. And as he got to study it, he saw that it was a quality asset And Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock, and they have $10.6 trillion of money under management. So if someone like Vat Caliber is saying that Bitcoin's a legitimate asset class, it's probably time to listen. He thinks it's digital gold. And then we have the Ethereum ETFs likely trading in another week or so, which will be a catalyst as well for crypto. So I think the next few days and next few weeks and ultimately this year should be pretty good for the market, in my opinion.